According to recent reports, the investors into Donald Trump's new social media company, which of course, as we all know, is a publicly traded company acquired by Digital World Acquisitions, the investors might be looking to dump their stock as soon as possible. Now, this is, for the record, speculation at this point. However, the reporters that have looked into this know what they're talking about, and what they're seeing is a pattern that they believe means that these investors could be looking for what's called a pump and dump of the stock of this company. So here's what happens. Of course, you got to go back to the beginning. Digital World Acquisitions has acquired, as the company does, Donald Trump's Truth Social and the entire social media company, whatever the name of that is. Sorry, I forget off the top of my head. And they acquired this prior to after the stock sales, as is required by law. And that's actually one of the things that they're currently being investigated for, to make sure that that did in fact happen. So they dump all their money into this company they acquire. Once the acquisition is complete, then the stock goes public. At that point, it began at, $10? Surged all the way up to 96, and now it's hovering somewhere in the 40s. So if these investors bought in at $10 a share, and they sell it for $47, which was the last I had seen that the stock was going for, that would be a massive profit, right? Over 4 times what you put into the company. So what would happen at that point if these investors decide, great, now we can sell all of our shares, get more than 4 times what we put into the company, we walk away with our money, Donald Trump gets his money, so who gets screwed over in all of this after all of this massive stock sale, which would, of course, drive down the price of it? The answer is your average everyday mom and pop Trump supporter investors. Those are the people who get screwed. When there is a glut of the company's stock available for sale, it is going to drive the price down, especially if there are not others willing to come in and scoop up all that stock. That's just how the market works, because it is, of course, a giant casino that really doesn't even need to exist in the first place, because it is used, again, by rich people like Digital World Acquisition to make as much money as quickly as possible, get the hell out of there, and leave mom and pop holding the bag. And again, the reporters who are looking into this think that this could be one of those scenarios. And as I briefly mentioned there, the SEC is in fact investigating, more of a soft investigation. I know a lot of folks have already talked about this. I've kind of avoided it because it's not exactly a, real meaty story. They are, of course, as I mentioned, looking into possible insider trading, but not because they think it may have happened, but just because that is actually standard operating procedure. This investigation, which they're not even calling it an investigation, is mostly what they're calling a pro forma audit. Just looking to make sure, hey, it's a big company, you got big name people involved, $1 billion, actually $1.7 billion flowing into it. We just need to look over your paperwork and make sure everything's cool. So it's not like they suspect any kind of criminal behavior, so that's why I really haven't covered the story, because there's not much to it. This happens all the time with new companies. But what this could be, again, this pump and dump, that's not even illegal. Again, that's also something that happens all the time. That's why these acquisition companies exist. They scoop up the smaller ones, sell the stock, make a ton of money, and they go on to the next one. They are, by all, measures, corporate locusts. Once they've used up all of the resources here, they're going to go and do it over here. And so on and so forth until, they're not around anymore. So that's just something to be on the lookout for, Trump supporters. You might be getting fleeced in all of this. And again, Trump's going to make his money. Digital World is going to make their money. You're the only people who are going to be left holding the bag with stock that is worth a hell of a lot less than what you bought it for.